Joining me today is John Garvey, who's running for the New Hampshire State Senate in District 8. John, I want to talk about a number of issues. I want to talk about the budget. I want to talk about sort of healthcare reform. I want to talk about infrastructure type issues. So I guess the last will be first. Let's talk to me about infrastructure and sort of how you look at the state's infrastructure. And I don't mean just roads and bridges, but that's part of it, the internet as well. And does that play a role in your thought process and what you think needs to happen?
It does. It absolutely does. It's one of the more important issues, I think, as we go forward in this campaign. The reason I say that is if you look at the Center for Public Policy Studies, the report they put out a few years ago, it talks about the graying of New Hampshire. We are aging right now. And you look at the infrastructure, and I think it ties in. If you ask yourself at the turn of the 19th century if a person would buy a house that didn't have indoor plumbing, the answer was, yeah, maybe so, probably so. Now
they've got an outhouse. What do they need indoor plumbing for?
Exactly.
They got a well.
Exactly. But what we look at now
today, I agree with you. It's got to have indoor plumbing,
and it also has to have broadband internet. And it also has to have decent cell phone service. When you look at the young people and what they're looking at as far as what they're used to and what they will accept and what they won't accept. The infrastructure in New Hampshire has deteriorated. I came to New Hampshire when I got out of the Navy in 1981, and I remember one of the things that I was impressed by was the quality of the roads. I actually said, wow, these roads are smooth. You can really go from point A to point B. And this place takes care of itself. That was important. We now in District 8 has 24 towns. In that district alone, we have over 50 bridges on the red list. We have roads, you go from point A to point B. Point C is to get your car realigned. We have serious infrastructure issues. That affects businesses and whether they're going to invest in the location, whether they're going to have the kinds of jobs that attract the people. And the young people who don't stay in the state because it doesn't have the infrastructure that looks like it's investing in their future, they're going away, and so they're not here for the high-tech jobs. It's a cycle, and it's all interconnected. I was in about a month ago, I was at St. Paul's for the summer program. You know, that program for the public high school best and brightest? And I was asked to speak there on being a candidate and what was that like in one of the political courses. And at the end of that discussion, I asked for a show of hands. How many of you, these are mostly college-bound students, and I said, how many of you?
And they're New Hampshire public school students?
All New Hampshire public school, best and brightest, get selected for this program. How many of you plan to come back to New Hampshire or to stay in New Hampshire? How many raise their hand? Not a single one.
So, okay.
And so I think that the infrastructure, you can go, for example, in this district, you can go to a town, there's a number of them, but most recently I was in Stoddard. I held up my cell phone, no cell phone service. A lot of the towns still have DSL. A lot of the roads are in serious need of repair. Those issues, I think, drive the economy and drive the issue of whether people, young people, and businesses are going to invest in the future of the state.
So infrastructure is the economy, is the way you're looking at it.
That's how I see it,
okay.
Yes.
I want to tease that out, two questions, and a little bit foreshadowing the budget conversation, but some of it's sort of the practical realities. Not in my backyard. So take Stoddard or take a number of other towns. Well, I want to have cell coverage, but I don't want to see the cell tower.
That's right.
How do you balance that sort of, we want the coverage, but we don't want the coverage?
I think it's like a lot of things that if you want to have the result of the investment, then you need to make the investment. And I understand that there are some people who don't wish to have cell phone coverage. I think for an economy that is going to be in the 21st century, that really isn't an option.
Should Concord trump then the local zoning or local ordinances?
I think that the technology is developing at a speed and in a way that pretty soon we're going to be able to have
be a
coverage.
non-issue.
Yes, and one of the things that I think we can do is to be innovative. Like the example I'm using is I direct the Daniel Webster Scholar Honors Program at the University of New Hampshire School of Law, and that's an alternative licensing program for lawyers in their for law students in their last 2 years of law school. I was asked to create that program with virtually no budget, but by being innovative, by going to people, getting them to participate, we were able to develop a program that last year was honored with the ABA Gambrell Professionalism Award. It was featured in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, and we have people applying from all over the country. An independent think tank said that it was ahead of the curve and put out this report after studying us for 2 years. We did that with almost no money, but we created an opportunity with a limited budget that allowed us to get the most bang for the dollar.
So, I mean, and basically what you're saying is New Hampshire's got to think outside the box.
Yes, and so what I was talking about, like for District 8, for example, when this new technology becomes available, when there are companies that want to test things to see if they work, that's how I got a lot of free software, equipment, other things available within my program. Why not be an innovative platform for technology to test it so they can see if it works?
Well, I got to test a commercial break here.
Okay.
But when we return, we're going to continue our conversation focusing on the budget. So please stay with us.